do want to let you know I'm not an end-all expert, but I am here today because I've learned a lot about the subject you were just talking about, which is communicating effectively, getting results while working with men. I worked for 8 years at Untitled Chapter, which is a consulting company. We did consulting for the military, so it's a very male-dominated area working with men. I made a lot of mistakes. It took me a lot of time, 8 years, to figure it all out, and I'm going to share with you what I learned tonight. And one of the things that I like to start by telling you is kind of when I hit kind of like the rock bottom in my career working with men. And what happened was I was working, there were about 8 of us on a team. There were 2 women and the rest were men. And the woman and I were working like so hard, like hard. We would skip our lunch break, we would skip our any types of break. We wouldn't laugh and join in with the guys. We wouldn't go to social hours. We were just working. And I think this is a common mistake of women. Like, we work really hard, but a lot of people don't see how hard we're working and all the effort that we're putting in. And so we created so much stress for ourselves. We were kind of like the outsiders. Like, we would just be working at our desk and the guys would be laughing and joking and having fun. And I remember kind of looking at them like, they're not doing their work. They're not getting things done. And we're sitting here, we're working really hard, we're getting everything done. Created a lot of stress for ourselves. And what eventually happened is my boss pulled me aside, because I was actually the lead of the woman too. So he pulled me aside and he told me, Anna, you don't have to be perfect. And from that day on, it was an eye-opener for me, because I realized I was trying so hard to be perfect. And meanwhile, the guys are over here, they're not worried about being perfect, but they were happy, they were enjoying their careers, their jobs. They were developing this like tribe, this connection of trust, sharing opportunities. We were like on the outside, hating our careers, hating our lives, because we were working so hard, not having fun. And so from that day on, I kind of took that to heart and kind of watched the guys, kind of figure out how they were working, tried to learn from them, and then once I figured it all out, then I was able to write a book about it, and that's kind of what I'm here to talk about today. And the book's called The Professional Woman's Guide to Managing Men, and it basically has all of the things that I've learned from working in a male-dominated work environment. So the top picture is me. That's kind of from the very beginning when I first started working. And this down here, this is like my normal work environment, which is kind of intimidating for a woman. I'd walk into a lot of my client settings and they would see me and kind of do a double take, like, why is a woman here, kind of. And it was definitely a struggle to figure out my place, to not be intimidated, to be aggressive, and to kind of move up the ranks myself and develop that trust with them. And this is the ship that I worked for, the landing platform dock, which is a Navy ship program. So that's kind of to give you an idea of my background and the men that I've worked with. And then another thing that happened in the past 8 years is I was put in charge of managing 2 other men. I think you were talking back there how you were put in charge of being a manager yourself. And that is very tricky itself. There's a lot of different things I learned. At one point, I tried to manage them like a man would. So tried to be like, a man. And I think there's a book out there, it's like Play Like a Man, Win Like a Woman, or something like that. I was like, I guess I have to be like a man to manage men. And that didn't work. So then I tried to manage them like I would a woman. And that didn't work as well, because they're very different, right? But it wasn't until I figured out kind of my leadership strengths, my female leadership strengths, the things that I'm good at. I became more comfortable with myself, the things I'm good at, my strengths, my skills. That's when things started coming together and I started developing a better relationship with the guys on my team. So this is another thing I'd like to share. This is a common thing that I've put up with at my work environment. So this is a swear jar. And I don't know if you guys have ever had a swear jar in your work environment, but every time a guy, someone on our team swears, they have to put money in the jar. And this, for me in the beginning, this would have happened in the beginning of my career, I would have tried to distance myself from this. You know, I'm, like, my blog title is Classy Career Girl. I'm professional. Like, I'm classy. Like, this isn't classy to me, right? This isn't professional. I would have tried to distance myself from this. But after so long working with men, I've realized you have to join in, right? You have to not necessarily swear. And I don't swear in the workplace, but I will join in and I'll police other people who are swearing, and I'll make them put money in there. Just to kind of join in and laugh, so when someone else, you know, catches someone else and they have to put money in there, it's like I'm part of the team. I'm not necessarily making the choices that they decide to make. But I think this is an example of a lot of the things that we face in the male-dominated work environment. So a little quiz for you. The rate of turnover in management positions is how many times higher among top-performing women than it is among men. How many do you think?
5.
5? It's a little less. So 2.5 times. So it's still more. So the point I just want to make about this is there's a reason why women are turning over more than men, and so we just need to figure out what that reason is. One thing I think it could be is because the women aren't in that tribe, that, you know, close-knit network group that the women are in, or the men are in. So it's kind of like breaking into that group and figuring out why there's so much turnover. Because I wanted to leave. Like, I was ready to leave rather than join in their group. Females held only blank % of executive officer positions at Fortune 500 companies in 2012.
3.
What? 20. It's close. 14%. So, I mean, I feel like this has been in the news a lot with the book Lean In. I don't know if anyone's read that by Sheryl Sandberg, but kind of a hot topic lately. Pepperdine researchers found Fortune 500 firms with the best record of promoting women to senior positions are blank more profitable than the median 500 companies in their industries. So if you have women on your team, you're how much more profitable? Any guesses? 69%. So you can take that to your bosses. Put me on this team. I deserve to be here. So, I mean, I think that's something. It shows how much confidence we need to have in our skills, our strengths, because we bring something to the table that the men don't have, and that's valuable. We add that when we go to work on their teams. So our agenda for tonight, I'm going to talk about how to focus on you first, so how to figure out your leadership strengths first. We're going to learn how to build trust, communicate. I'm going to go over some common mistakes that women make, how to negotiate, and how to handle social events. I could also talk about this topic for hours and hours, but I can't. So I'll try and cover as much as I can in this limited amount of time we have. But in the end, you might find you want more information, and I will share with you at the end how you can get the book to get even more information. So, there's common female leadership strengths. So there's strengths that women have that men don't have. And there's strengths that women have that men admire about their female managers. And when you look at these strengths, I want you to think about, you know, which strengths do you have? If you are a manager, which of these strengths are you using right now? If you're not a manager, thinking of, you know, which of these strengths could you work on more to develop, so when you are a manager, you have them really well. So the first one that women are really good at is collaboration. So you see this when women are asking, you know, for the entire team's input, for getting the whole team together and making decisions based on the whole team. So women are really good at that. Obviously, women are really good at attention to detail where men sometimes aren't. I think we've all been aware of this. This one can get you into trouble. So this is the one that got me into trouble because I was being too much of a perfectionist, making sure all the details were perfect. So it's kind of like you want to make sure you have it, but it's not getting in your way as well. But it's a good thing because often men don't have that attention to detail, and they appreciate that about women on their teams. Women can be more calm under pressure. So if you have like a really tough negotiation coming up, a woman going in there could be very calm and easygoing and really make the other person more calm as well. So that's something that men admire about women. Women are more open, so men appreciate that, the open honesty. If you're giving feedback to someone, you may be more open to them. Intuition, this is a big one. So one of my female managers that I had, she had this intuition of just knowing what I was thinking, knowing what I was going to say next. She kind of just always knew if I was going through a tough time. She'd ask for a meeting, and I was like, how did you know that I was dealing with this? So it's kind of like that female intuition that's really good in business. And then empathy. We have the empathy, so we really care about others. We care about our team, the men we manage, men we work with, is a very common. So thinking about these are the common female leadership strengths. Which ones you have? And then your managerial role models. So I don't know if either of these probably are your role models. I don't think either of them are mine. But you want to think about, in your past experience, who were your managerial role models? So thinking about it from the male and female side, thinking about some females you've had, some men you've had, what did you like? What were their strengths? What were their weaknesses? Kind of putting that list together is going to help you develop your list of skill sets that you want. So what are those things that you enjoyed about your managers? What are those things you didn't enjoy? And making sure you follow that list. Sometimes if you don't look at the weaknesses, you might accidentally just start copying something a previous manager did, even though you didn't like it. If you're kind of in that mentor role, you're still going to start doing it, so you want to make sure you don't do that. And then get feedback. These are a couple different ways you can get feedback. If you don't know what your strengths are, I highly recommend getting feedback. Some companies offer feedback, like a 360-degree assessment. Some companies don't. So there's ways you can do it yourself. I recommend, if your company doesn't offer it, do it yourself. You can do a quick, easy survey through SurveyMonkey, Google Docs. There's another one called 360-degree reach. That's really good as well. That way you can figure out what your strengths are. Here are some common leadership styles that you could be thinking about as well. The most effective female leaders are going to move among all of these leadership styles. So the first one is democratic. It's kind of the same as affiliative, which is making sure you have the whole team on board. You're getting all the team's input when you're making decisions. Pace setting would be establishing goals for your team to meet. Coaching, this is the one I really like because I like coaching people and meeting with people one-on-one. So that's something where that's like my strength, so I make sure I add that into when I'm managing people, making sure I set up meetings with them because I like that one-on-one. And then visionary would be setting like a high goal for your team to meet. And then commanding, it's not a highly used one. You probably want to stay away from that one if you can.